G'day, Mr. Fitz here. Hope you're well. Video 4, we're going to continue with our SolidWorks skills and we're going to start modifying our original block, adding in some more features and modifying some solids. Back to our workflow chart, it's really important to understand that in building a complex model in SolidWorks, the process is always sketch, solid, sketch, solid, sketch, solid. So we need to know how to be good at creating sketches and then using these features and also modifying. So you find that a complex model is just built up of really basic sketch and solid features. And we're going to continue with that now. Going back to our model. So what we're going to do to this model is we want to add a hole through the side of this part. Now there is a feature called Hole Wizard, and for the time being I'm going to get you to keep away from this. I want you to use our main solids features. So over here, if I click on this feature, that's what we've built so far in our feature tree. If I click on the little minimizer icon, you'll see that inside this boss is a sketch. And you can see, obviously, if I rotate my screen, these are the measurements that I'd put into that. This can be edited at any time. So if I right click on that icon, I've got a range of things on the pop-up. The first one is Edit Sketch. The second one is Edit Sketch Plane, so I can vary where that is started from, so the defining plane. I can suppress it, meaning I can turn it off. I can roll back, and there's a few other things here. I can turn it off if I want, so I don't see it. But in this case, you'll use this a lot. You're going to go Edit Sketch. This brings me back into my sketch, and I can change things in this. For example, I can change that 30 to 35. You'll see what happens when I do that. It changes both parts of it. Finish, and it will modify my feature. So again, right click, edit sketch to edit the defining sketch. I can do the same to the extrude as well. Right click and go edit feature. This will edit how high that extrusion goes. So I had it set at 40 mil, so I can vary that as well. And remember, the good thing about SolidWorks is I can click on a feature like this and it will bring up those dimensions. So I can click on it on the screen and modify. So I might change this 35 back to 30, 30, click on the tick, and remember to press rebuild on that one as well. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a hole in this, and like I said, don't use this feature. We're going to go and create another sketch. So remember, as I said before, to make a more complex model, it's just a matter of creating more sketches and extrusion features. So go back to sketch. I'm going to click on the sketch icon. Now it's asked me where can I go. Now the good thing here is that I've got a flat face that I can sketch on, so I can click on that face. And now I am sketching and drawing on that face there. If I want to, I can click on a face, and I think if I click this one here, I can click on, say, there, and it will take me right into that sketch. But for now, I'm happy to sketch with this in isometric mode or in rotated mode. All right, I'm going to draw a circle. So this little icon here or up here is the circle command. All I need to do is just click where I want this to go and then drag it to create the size. As always, don't worry about the size of it for now. I'm going to just click to create it. And then I'm going to click on the dimension tool to give it a size. So dimension, and I'm going to make this click 10 millimeters in diameter. That's going to be the size of my hole. Now, as you can see from earlier, this thing is still blue. So if I grab it and drag it, I can't change the diameter because the diameter is defined, but if I click on the center point, I can move this wherever I want on that sketch plane. So what's cool in SolidWorks is I can click it, and if I highlight a feature, it tries to snap this somewhere useful. So I can do it on this line. You can see here the midpoint is highlighted, so I can snap it to the midpoint or end point or anywhere around here. In this case, I want this to actually be in the center of this face. So I'm going to give you a little tip in how to do that effectively. What I can do is I can sketch some lines in here, and this is going to help me get this centered. So if I insert a line, now I'm going to click on the center point of that line and drag it down. I'm just going to click here, so vertical, here. Now I'm going to click on the center point of this line. That's going to snap that to there. Now I'm just going to press escape to get out of the line tool. You can see that the first line, if I click on that point there, it's vertical. This line here I want horizontal. So if I click on this line, it doesn't have that in there at the moment. I'm going to make it horizontal. And now I zoom in a bit. These two lines are fully defined. They're both to the midpoint of there and there, but that now I'm going to use as a construction. So if I click on this line, I can make full construction. So toggle it there. You can see that the line type now goes to a dashed line. That means it's a construction line. And I'll do the same for this one. So click construction. Those now are just there as a reference. Now what's cool is if I click my circle now and move it, I can pin my circle to that point there. And it goes black, meaning that it's now fully constrained. So it doesn't matter what I do to change this base feature, this hole or this circle is going to always be in the center between these two edges, which is what I want to do for this particular design. So the gist of what I've just shown you is that you can create any form of geometry. So I can, create something out here, click lines, and I can use that as reference. So if I highlight, click and drag a window, I can make all of these construction lines for construction, and then I can use the endpoints of this. So I can draw a circle, I can do multiple circles around here, and these are all constrained or joined to the ends of those points. So if I move them, the circle sticks to it. Cool. All right, just delete those. That was just for discussion. Now, that's exactly what I want. It's all black. It means it's constrained. Now I can finish my sketch. So I'm going to click finish. Now, my sketch is defined. What I want to do is go to the features tab, and I'm going to cut this. So I'm going to go extrude cut. Now, what's important there is that this was pre-selected. So if I go extrude cut, it's going to ask me to create a new sketch. What I can do is click an existing sketch as well. So if I click on that sketch, it's going to pick up that I want to cut that hole. Now you can see here it gives you a bit of a preview. And by default, for whatever reason, it said, do you want this hole to be 30 millimeters deep? You can drag that and make it however deep you want. But in this design, I want this hole to always go through the part. So I could type in 30 because this line here is 30. But what's more intelligent is that I can change the direction from blind. Blind is the engineering term for a hole that goes to a set depth. I'm going to change that to go through all. What that means is that it doesn't matter what depth this is, it will always cut through it. So select all and then OK. And you can see now that's chopped a hole all the way through it. And to test that, if I want to, I can double click on this. If I change this now to 35, let's prove whether it's going to work. So 35 and click on update, rebuild. You'll notice that that hole goes all the way through. Further, if I change something else on here, let's make this 80, let's make this 100, this dimension. We'll see what happens from my original sketch. Update, and you'll notice that that hole still remains in the center line of this and this. So that's kind of like, it's what we call parametric modeling. It's actually using existing geometry to define where that hole lives. Alternatively, I could have put some dimensions in for that hole, but those dimensions may not have updated according to the rest of the geometry. Cool, all right. So you can see now my feature tree, I've got a boss, extrude, and a cut extrude. And within those, again, I've got the sketch and the feature. So I can always right click and go edit sketch. I can go edit feature as well, edit plane, so I can change where that plane is on. These are all options available. As you can see, this starts to build up my model. So next I'm going to add another feature. So everything just should be started with a simple sketch. Now I'm going to sketch on this top face. So click sketch, choose a plane or a face. I'm going to sketch on there. Rotate my model. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch a rectangle, corner rectangle, and I'm going to pick up that corner there, drag it, and I'm going to go to here. So I'm going to snap basically that point there and that point there. Just press escape to get out of that tool. Now you can see the only blue line on here is this line, so that length there must be defined. So I want this to be from here. So if I click on the dimension tool, click on that line, or I can click that line and then that line, and it will go the difference between it. Click out in space to set your dimension, and I'm going to make this 20 millimeters across there. That's all I want to extrude. So let's finish the sketch. Go back to features. This is highlighted in the tree. So if I click on this one, extrude boss base, it's going to push that up. So I want this to be 20 millimeters tall. Press enter, click on the tick, and I've built it. So 3 features define this model: the original, that hole, and that there, that boss on the top. So these all link together now. So remember how on this one I just clicked on the corner and the corner? If that corner moves, this is going to move with it. So these are what we call associated. Now, what I can show you that if I create a new sketch somewhere out in space here, I can create another feature out here. I can extrude this, and this gives me a solid out in space that has no relation to this because it's not joined to it. And this here, I can click on it and I can move it anywhere I want in space because it has no link to the original model. I'm just going to delete that one and delete that sketch. Cool. There is your feature you've established. Now, I'm just going to quickly introduce you to some features that are worth playing with. I'll just go back to our workflow. So we've created a new sketch. We've built a boss and a base. Let's go to the modify solids. So over here, let's use the fillet or the chamfer tool. I want you to play with these. These are good just to discover. Fillet's a nice, easy one. Basically, a fillet will round an edge. So items to fillet, you need to choose an edge. So I'm going to choose this edge and this edge, and I'm going to make this fillet 10 millimeters. Nice big radius. You can see the preview. If I go OK, it's going to round those edges there. The order in which you apply fillets is fairly important. So if I click on fillet again, if I fillet this face, what happens is I've got this little thing toggled here called tangent propagation. What that means, it's going to grab, if I click on that line, it's going to grab anything that joins to it, that's tangent, which includes that fillet there. You can see the preview. If I go OK, you'll see what it does. So worth playing around with the fillet. You can see here, those are in my tree. These are editable. I can right click and go edit feature. So if I change my mind and said I want that one to be a 5 mil fillet, put in 5, you can modify it. Chamfer tool is worth playing with. It's a bit like a fillet, but rather than being rounded square, there's a lot of features in there to play with. So have a go at that. Make sure you save your work. And that is video 4. So sketches, modifying some solids, and cutting some holes out. Cheers. Good luck.